Hello Warhammer Explorers, hit subscribe and stay with our Legion. Your support is what lets me keep making these crossovers. What if Doomslayer joined the Space Marines? The last demon in the UAC complex falls, its skull crushed under the Doomslayer's boot, and the world falls quiet for the first time in years. Before him, the Argent engine that Vega rebuilt hums like a caged storm, its runes mapped not only to hell, but to something deeper in the same dark sea. Vega's calm voice explains that the demons are not done, that beyond this reality there is a galaxy where the warp is endless and full of prey. The Slayer feels the old promise burn again, rip and tear until it is done, even if it means throwing his soul into a storm no machine can hold. He steps into the overcharged portal as it overloads, the Argent field punching straight into the warp, and reality screams as it tears. The sky above Hive Hell's Reach on the world of Armageddon splits open. Citizens see it first. Men and women in grey coats stop on metal walkways between tall rust towers. Children on the ash-stained streets point with dirty hands. A crack runs across the clouds like a glowing wound, bright green and red, and a sound like grinding stone rolls over the city. Far overhead, in an orbital command bastion, officers of the Imperial Navy watch their hollow displays spike. Unknown energy surge over Sector 12, a Vox officer calls. His voice shakes. Not warp storm signatures, not exactly, says the astropath, blind eyes bleeding as they stare at nothing. In the streets, a factory worker named Jarek clutches his daughter close. He has seen storms before. He has seen orc attacks and chaos raids. He has never seen the sky open and show teeth. The crack widens. Flames pour out, but they are wrong. They are green-white, edged with a deeper dark, like the fire is trying to tear the world apart. Then something falls. It is a shape wrapped in burning metal, a coffin or a bomb or a knight. It howls as it plummets straight down toward the packed hab blocks of Sector 12. Alarms start to scream. Defense cannons on tower tops track the falling object and hesitate as cogitators argue with themselves. The machine spirits cannot decide if this is a weapon or a miracle. Jarek does not see any of that. He only sees the fire growing larger, coming right for the hab block where his daughter stands. "Run!" he shouts, pushing her hard. The world turns to light. The falling object punches through 3 layers of hab towers like they are paper. Steel melts, stone cracks. Shockwaves roll out and throw people off their feet across half the district. In the crater, wrapped in smoke and steaming rubble, something moves. An armored hand slams into the shattered earth. The gauntlet is a dull, battle-scarred green, with strange runes glowing faintly over the knuckles. A figure rises out of the wreckage, heavy boots grinding on molten metal. The Doomslayer stands on Armageddon. His praetor suit is dented and scarred. Argent lines along its frame pulse weakly, like a heart forced to beat too fast. The visor scans the burning streets around him and tags shapes with cold red outlines. There are people. There is fear. There is also something else. He feels it first, before he sees it. The warp presses against his mind, a thick, oily presence like hell, but older and wider. It tastes him, and something inside it snarls in answer. Then the demons come through. The crack in the sky peels wider above Sector 12. Not a portal in a lab, a tear in the air itself. Red armored shapes drop out of it in howling packs. They are tall and thin and made of hate, with horns like blades and swords of solid blood. Blood letters of Khorne race toward the streets below, hunger burning in their eyes. Jarek pushes himself up, ears ringing, and sees them. One demon lands on a broken car not 20 meters away. It looks at him and his daughter like they are already dead. It leaps. A green blur hits it from the side. The Doomslayer slams into the demon mid-air, both of them rolling in a shower of sparks. He rises first. His fist drives into the demon's face. Bones made of warp stuff crack. The creature screams in a voice that makes street lamps shatter. And then his boot comes down. He stomps. The skull bursts. Red mist splashes his armor and sizzles when it touches the runes. More demons charge him. A dozen bloodletters rush forward, blades held high. Behind them, the tear in the sky swirls faster, spitting out more shapes. The Slayer reaches over his shoulder and pulls free his shotgun. It is not quite the same as before. The portal has changed it. The double barrels glow with faint purple light, and strange golden sigils burn along the stock, half machine, half something else. He does not care why. He fires. The shot lands in the center of the pack. 3 bloodletters vanish in a blast of force and burning pellets. Others are thrown back, limbs torn off, their forms trying to knit back together and failing as Argent burns them away. He moves forward. He is a storm in human form. Gun, fist, boot, blade, everything is used. He grabs a demon by the horn, yanks it close, and slams its head against another. He rips a sword from a shrieking hand and drives it clean through its owner's chest. He protects the path where the people are trying to crawl away. Every time a demon lunges toward a fallen citizen, the Slayer is there first. He feels the cost with every second. The suit's Argent reserve flashes warnings across his visor. The fall, the breach, the warp pressure. It has drained more power than whole campaigns used to. His muscles ache under the armor, tendons burning. His heart pounds hard enough that he feels it in his teeth. It does not matter. He keeps killing. Above him, the first Imperial gunships arrive. Gunmetal grey Valkyrie craft roar over the streets, heavy bolters spitting fat explosive rounds at the demons. Behind their armored windshields, pilots shout prayers to the God Emperor as they dive. On a high spire, a squad of Astra Militarum soldiers, Imperial Guard, the mass army of the Imperium, set up heavy weapons. They are small compared to the demons and the stranger in green armor, but their laser guns form a wall of red light, and their heavy stubbers hammer away. Sector 12 falling, but we have unidentified friendly down there, a captain yells into his vox. Repeat, unidentified friendly engaging hostile warp entities in melee. I've never seen anything like it. Higher still, a thunderbolt passes overhead. A shadow crosses the clouds. Something bigger is coming. The Doomslayer tears the arm off a bloodletter and beats another demon to the ground with it. He spots a group of citizens trapped beneath a collapsed support beam. Demons race toward them, blades ready. He pushes his suit harder. The Argent lines flare bright, burning against the warp. He sprints. The ground cracks under his boots. He reaches the people just as the first demon swings. His hand shoots out, catching the blade. It burns his palm. The sword is made of blood and raw hate, and it cuts reality, not just flesh. Pain shoots up his arm, bright and clean. He squeezes. The sword shatters into shards of red light. The demon looks stunned. He grabs it by the face and slams it into the street, hard enough to crater the rock. He plants himself between the trapped civilians and the oncoming horde. The demons try to swarm him. He becomes motion. Shotgun blasts take heads clean off. His chainsaw, pulled from nowhere but always there, howls as it bites into warped flesh, spilling boiling ichor. He moves with savage skill, always stepping to block, to shield, to draw fire. Who in the throne's name is that? someone whispers over an open Vox channel. The answer comes as a new sound rises above the city. Thunder and burning air. Drop pods. They fall from the sky like metal comets, slamming into streets and plazas with enough force to make buildings lean. Their petals blow outward, and giants step out. They are Adeptus Astartes, space marines. Superhuman warriors of the Imperium of Man, clad in ceramite power armor thicker than a man's chest. These ones are black and bone white, Black Templars. Chains hang from their armor, bearing purity seals and oaths. White crosses burn on their shoulders. Each one holds a bolter gun like a small cannon, or a chainsword big enough to cut a car in half. Their leader lifts his sword. "In the name of the Emperor," he roars, "cleanse this city." They charge. Bolter rounds explode demons into clouds of gore. Chainswords scream, biting into flesh and warp light alike. The Space Marines move with drilled grace, each giant warrior killing where his brothers leave gaps. Some of them slow as they see the Doomslayer. He is knee-deep in dead demons. He breaks a bloodletter's neck with his bare hands, takes a blade to the chest, and pushes through it as if it is a training blow. His armor drinks blood and fire, and he does not stop. "Sergeant," one Black Templar voxes, "we have contact with something." "Is it killing the enemy?" the sergeant replies. "Yes, but—" "Then we shall judge later. For now, we stand together." They fight shoulder to shoulder with the Slayer. A Black Templar chainsword meets a demon right as the Slayer's fist hits it from the other side. The creature is sliced apart, its form unraveling with a scream. The Marine grunts in approval, voxing a short prayer. "Unknown warrior," the sergeant calls on an open channel. "You kill the foes of the Emperor well. Keep doing it." The Doomslayer does not answer. He never does. He only steps forward again. The fight lasts minutes, but feels like hours. Wave after wave of bloodletters and lesser demons pour out of the tear. The Valkyries and Guard batter them from above and afar. The Black Templars and the Doomslayer break the waves at street level. At last, the crack in the sky flickers. A final surge of power rushes through it. A huge shape tries to force its way out. A greater demon, a bloodthirster, a tower of red muscle and brass armor. The Doomslayer looks up at it. He knows this type. A big demon, a boss. He jumps. The argent lines on his suit flare full bright. The added warp pressure makes his vision blur, but he pushes past it. He uses a broken hab wall as a ramp and launches himself high. The bloodthirster swings a whip of fire at him as he arcs toward its chest. The lash wraps around his torso, burning through armor, cooking flesh. He keeps going. He drives his shotgun barrels into the demon's chest and fires both barrels at once. The shot, forced by the warp breach, becomes more than metal and flame. Argent energy and raw warp collide, tearing a hole straight through the demon's heart. The bloodthirster howls as its core explodes. Its entire body cracks like glass, light leaking from every split. The Doomslayer rides the shattering bulk down. They smash into the street together. The demon tries to rise. He is already in motion. He throws the broken gun aside, grabs a shard of the demon's own brass armor, and drives it up into its skull. He twists. The bloodthirster's eyes go dark. Its form breaks apart into a storm of ash and red sparks, which the wind of the collapsing portal sucks back up into the sky. The tear snaps shut with a sound like a giant inhaling. Silence falls over Sector 12, broken only by crackling fires and the distant sobs of survivors. The Doomslayer staggers once. His armor is cracked across the chest where the whip struck. Glowing cracks leak faint light. His flesh beneath is burned and torn, and the suit hisses as it injects some crude auto-medici into his veins. He looks at the shaken, soot-covered people still alive behind him. He looks at the dead. Then he looks up at the new sky. It is still dark and broken. Smoke covers the clouds. Far above, he can see the faint lights of ships moving, and somewhere beyond them, he feels the warp watching. Codex note: unidentified warrior, origin unknown, combat capability equal or superior to elite Astartes, but with warp-reactive armor of unknown pattern and Argent-like energy signatures. Black Templars move to flank him. Their sergeant steps forward, helm shaped like a skull beneath a white cross. "I am Sword Brother Alaric," he says. "Knight of the Emperor. Who or what are you, stranger?" The Doomslayer says nothing. He tilts his head, visor reflecting the Marine's face. Alaric's hand tightens on his chainsword. "Silent," he mutters. "That is not reassuring." Vox runes flash on his UI. "Sergeant Alaric," a voice snaps over the channel. It is hard and cold. "This is Inquisitor Varro Thane of the Ordo Malleus. Secure the unidentified asset. He is to be taken alive and brought to the command bastion for examination." "Acknowledged, Inquisitor," Alaric says. He nods once to the Slayer. "The man above who gives orders wants to meet you." He gestures to the sky. Thunderhawk gunships are already banking toward them, engines rumbling like distant storms. The Doomslayer looks at the gunships. He does not like being moved. He does not like chains or cages. But above them, he can still feel the warp moving. He can feel demons everywhere, just behind a thin wall. This world is hell made into an empire. If he wants to kill the demons here, he needs to know its rules. He steps toward the waiting Thunderhawk. Up to now, the Doomslayer has fallen into the grim galaxy of Warhammer 40,000, fought beside Space Marines to close a demon breach over Hive Hell's Reach, and drawn the wary eye of the Imperium's hunters. The command bastion hangs above Armageddon like a steel crown. It is a void fortress built into an orbiting platform. Defense guns line its hull, each one big enough to flatten a city block. Void shields shimmer like faint blue mist around it, holding back space dust, debris, and the constant hiss of the warp. The Thunderhawk gunship cuts through its hangar field and lands with a heavy clang. Thunder rolls along the deck. Inside the hold, the Black Templars stand in a ring around the Doomslayer. They are bigger than him by almost a head, their black armor broad and heavy. He is broad too, a wall of green ceramite and anger. He does not look at them. He stares at the floor, at a small smear of demon blood still smoking on the metal. "Remember," one Marine mutters over a private vox. "If he turns, we all open fire. Bolters, cracks, blessed rounds." "You saw what he did to the Bloodthirster," another replies. "Will that even work?" "We will see. If he is a demon, the Emperor will reveal it." The ramp lowers. Light spills in, cold and hard. Inquisitor Varro Thane waits at the bottom of the ramp, flanked by robed acolytes and servo skulls. Thane is tall for a normal man, but still smaller than the Space Marines. He wears a long coat of black leather with gold-trimmed armor beneath. An eye-shaped rosette hangs on his chest, the mark of the Inquisition. His face is lined with age and worry, eyes sharp and cold. A slim bolt pistol rests at his hip. A data slate and rosary hang from his belt. "Bring him," he says. The Doomslayer walks down the ramp between two Black Templars. They have not chained him. They are not sure the chains would hold. Varro studies him in silence. He sees the armor first. It is like no power armor he has seen. Not Astartes, not Sororitas, not any known pattern. Old scars and deep new wounds run across it. Strange glyphs glow along its edges, Half machine, half something else. He sees the eyes behind the visor. They are distant and focused, old and very tired. Unidentified warrior, Varro says at last. You stand on a bastion of the Imperium of Man. This fortress is dedicated to the Holy Inquisition and the defense of Armageddon. By my authority as Inquisitor of the Ordo Malleus, I require your name, origin, and any prior pacts with warp entities. The Doomslayer does not speak. Varro waits. The silence stretches. Servo skulls drift around the Slayer, scanning his armor with red beams. One gets too close. The Slayer's hand flicks out. He grabs the servo skull out of the air and crushes it without even looking at it. Sparks spit from his fist. Bits of bone and brass fall to the deck. Black Templars shift, bolters twitching. Varro does not move. He watches. Interesting, he says softly. You do not like being watched. He nods to a woman standing nearby. She steps forward. Her coat marks her as a naval officer, rank chevrons bright on her sleeve. Doomslayer, she says. Every head turns to her. How do you know that name? Varro asks. The woman taps her data slate. We picked up something on the Voxnet, she says. Patterns, echoes, whispers in the astropathic relay when the sky split. A name. It burned into the message buffers before the tech priest purged them. She looks up at the Slayer. Her eyes are tired but steady. I am Lord Admiral Lissacord, acting High Commander of the Armageddon War Theatre, and the warp screamed a name when you arrived. Doomslayer. Varro's jaw tightens. He turns back to the Slayer. Is that your name? He asks. The Doomslayer says nothing. Varro exhales slowly. So be it. Doomslayer you will be, until the Emperor or the Warp says otherwise. Cord steps closer, ignoring the nervous looks from the Black Templars. You saved a lot of lives down there, she says. I saw the feeds. You held that district long enough for my gunships and these knights to land. You faced a bloodthirster alone and broke it. She glances at Varro. I have fought chaos for 30 years, Inquisitor. We need assets like this. Armageddon bleeds. The galaxy burns. I cannot turn away a weapon just because it is strange. A weapon that walks on its own is not just a weapon, Varro replies. It is a risk, and this one is saturated with warp energy. He circles the Slayer once, eyes tracing every crack. Where did you come from? He murmurs. Not from any known time or place. The astropaths felt you punch through the immaterium without ship, without Geller field. That alone should have torn you into screaming atoms. Cord shrugs, but it did not. He is here, and we still have a world to save. Alaric, the Black Templar sergeant, steps forward. He fights like a crusader, he says. He knows no fear. He stands between the innocent and the foe. I have seen possessed warriors. I have seen traitors. He is not like them. Varro gives him a sharp look. Your chapter is zealous, Sir Alaric. Sometimes zeal blinds. If he is a weapon of the enemy, sent to win our trust before he turns, then my brothers and I will be the first to try to cut him down, Alaric says simply. Until then, he kills demons. That is enough reason to fight beside him. The Doomslayer watches them argue. He does not understand all the words. This Imperium speaks of emperors, inquisitions, rosettes, and crusades. He understands two things. There are demons here. There are humans who fight them. That is enough for now. A harsh siren cuts through the air. Vox horns flare red along the hangar walls. Servitors mumble alerts. Cord looks down at her slate, eyes widening. New translation from the fleet, she says. Invasion signs spread. It wasn't just that breach. We are reading warp tiers across 3 hive sectors. and an enemy fleet is translating in on the system's edge. Varro's eyes snap to a nearby holo display. A grainy map of the Armageddon system flickers to life. Red icons crawl along it. "Identify," he snaps. "Chaos Fleet," a Navy officer calls. Marks match the World Eater's warband skull harvest, escorting a larger formation with unclear heraldry. We also have unknown readings, warp signatures we have not seen before." "Of course," Varro mutters. Something noticed him when he came through. Cord looks at the Slayer. "You came here chasing them, didn't you?" she says quietly. "You followed the demons." His head tilts, just a fraction. "We cannot hold Armageddon if a major Chaos fleet breaks our defense line," Cord says. She looks at Varro, then at Alaric. "We need to hit their command spine, fast, hard, before they stabilize those warp tiers on the surface." Varro nods slowly. "Agreed. The Skull Harvest is led by Lord Kargor the Red, a World Eater's champion, a butcher, but the unknown signature is what worries me more." He gestures, and a new image flickers up. It is a pic capture pulled from astropathic visions, blurred and warped. A tall figure, armored in blue and gold, stands at the center of a burning hall. Its helm is shaped like a scarab, eyes glowing cold. Its hands are raised, weaving threads of fire and darkness. Around it, reality bends. "A sorcerer of the Thousand Suns," Varro says, "or something like them. But the warp says his name with special weight." The air crackles. The display glitches for a moment as a whisper passes through the ship's systems, a word in a harsh, echoing tongue. "Malachor," Varro says. "Lord Malachor the Unbound, a sorcerer who broke his own flesh to be closer to the warp. They say he can reach through hate itself and twist it." Alaric growls. "Witchcraft. He will die like all the others." Cord shakes her head. "You know as well as I do that men like that do not die easy." Her gaze returns to the Doomslayer. "But I have a theory. He came through on a wave of rage and argent fire. That sorcerer felt it. Maybe this Malachor sees him as a rival, or a new weapon to chain." Varro's eyes narrow. "Either way, he will be our next move. Doomslayer." The Inquisitor steps closer until he is almost within arm's reach of the armored giant. "You want to kill demons," he says. "That much is clear. The Imperium lives to kill them too, though we pay a high price every time. Fight for us now. Help us strike at this sorcerer and the World Eaters he rides with. In return, I will not have you vented into space." A faint, cruel smile touches the edge of his mouth. "Not yet, at least." Cord gives him a flat look. "That is not how I would have put it," she mutters. The Doomslayer does not respond to the threat. He looks at the holo again. He sees ships. He sees warp storms. He sees a single robed figure in the center of burning halls. He feels something when he looks at that figure. The same cold hunger he felt when he first stepped into Hell's core. But this is sharper. It smells like leashes and chains. His hands curl into fists. He nods just once. Varro inclines his head in return. "Then we have a war council to hold," the Inquisitor says. "Admiral Cord, Sergeant Alaric, attend me. We will plan a strike at the Sorcerer's flagship. I want Doomslayer at the tip of that spear, with Astartes' support. Maybe if we throw enough saints and monsters at this, the Emperor will favor us." They move to the Strategium. The room is a cathedral of steel and light. A holotable sits in the center, projecting the Armageddon system and the swirling warp around it. Statues of saints and martyrs stand in niches in the walls, watching. Tech priests in red robes chant as they feed data into cogitators. Astropaths stand in a circle, eyes wrapped in bandages, whispering warnings. Chaplains in black armor hold skull-helmed crozier staves, muttering litanies. The Doomslayer stands near the table, looming like a silent statue. His armor hums faintly as the machine spirits of the bastion sniff at it and recoil. Cord points at the display. "The enemy fleet is massing here," she says, indicating an area near the system's outer edge. Our augurs show 3 heavy cruisers, 7 escorts, and a central flagship with that unknown signature wrapped around it like a storm. "That will be Malakor's ship," Varro says. "A void ark, perhaps. A temple to the warp more than a war vessel. Standard Navy doctrine would be to form a gun line and trade volleys," Cord says. "We do not have the numbers for that. Not with reinforcements still days away. But we do have something else." She looks at the Slayer. "A boarding action," she says. "Send a strike cruiser and an honor guard of Astartes, plus our guest. Crack his hull, push straight to the Sorcerer's Sanctum, and cut the head off the snake." Alaric grips the edge of the hollow table. "My crusaders will be eager for such a mission," he says. "We live to board heretic ships and cut them apart from within, with this Doomslayer at our side." Varro nods slowly. "It is risky," he says. "If we fail, we lose our best fighters. If we succeed, the Sorcerer dies, and the warp tears over Armageddon may weaken. And perhaps we learn more about this Doomslayer in the heat of real battle." He glances at the Slayer. "Do you understand?" he asks. "We plan to throw you into the heart of a Chaos void ship, into a temple of the warp. It will be worse than the breach you saw below." The Doomslayer's visor reflects the hollow of Malakor's ship. He has walked through worse. He has ripped open hell itself. He has faced titans of demonkind and broken them with his bare hands. He wants this. He nods again. Varro sighs softly. "Very well," he says. "Admiral Cord, ready one of your fastest strike cruisers. Sergeant Alaric, assemble a kill team of your most disciplined brothers. No glory seekers, no fanatics who will break formation to chase honor." Alaric bows his head. "So sworn," he says. "We will be a blade, not a storm." "Good," Varro says. "We strike within the hour. The longer we wait, the deeper Malakor digs his claws into the warp around this system." Cord starts barking orders into a vox, voice sharp and calm. Outside the bastion, engines light. An Imperial strike cruiser, steel grey, with the black and white cross of the Black Templars on its prow, turns its nose toward the enemy fleet. The Doomslayer leaves the strategium and walks through the ship. He passes through chapel decks, where thousands of voidsmen kneel before golden statues, begging the Emperor to watch over them. He walks by medicae bays, where surgeons replace limbs with augmetics, and priests paint purity runes on bandaged flesh. He moves past armories where servitors slot bolter rounds into ammo drums as fast as machines can work. Some men look at him with awe. Some cross themselves in fear. Most just stare. He steps into an Astartes arming chamber. Black Templars stand in ritual rows as their armor is blessed. Chaplains walk among them, daubing oil and blood on helm and pauldron. Alaric waits for him there. "You fight without the Emperor's light," the sergeant says. "No oaths, no litanies, no catechisms, only rage. That can be a kind of faith, but it can also be a chain." The Doomslayer glances at him. Alaric meets his gaze. "My code is simple," the Marine says. "Obey the Emperor, protect mankind, destroy the foe. We may disagree on how much mercy belongs in that, but we share an enemy. That is enough today." He holds out something, a small iron cross, inscribed with the Templars' symbols. It hangs on a short chain. "I cannot make you one of us," Alaric says. "Your body is wrong for the gene seed. You are too old, too changed." But fight with us, Doomslayer, and you may stand as an honored blade among the Astartes. Take this, if you will." The Slayer looks at the charm. He thinks of the flares of argent in his suit. He thinks of the ancient makers who forged his armor, and the demons he killed wearing it. He thinks of a man nailed to a cross in another world, and a dead earth that asked him to be its weapon. He takes the iron cross and hangs it on his belt. Alaric nods once. "That will do," he says. The strike cruiser drops into real space near the edge of the enemy fleet. Alarm klaxons howl. Void shields flare as Chaos ships turn to face this new threat. Gun batteries rotate, hungry for blood. "Enemy fleet reacting," Cord's voice crackles over the Astartes Vox. "You will have a small window before they bracket you with fire. Make it count. Emperor watch you." The Black Templar kill team stands ready in the boarding torpedo bay. Each Marine checks his weapons with practiced care like a ritual. Bolter magazines are slammed home. Chainswords rev and then fall quiet, teeth glistening with holy oils. Grenades line belts and harnesses, each one stamped with a purity seal. The Doomslayer stands among them. His suit's argent lines have refilled a little, drawing on something in the warp that bleeds into this ship. It hurts to feel it, like ice driven into his bones. He accepts the pain. He checks his weapons. Super shotgun, heavy rifle, rocket launcher rigged into his shoulder, chainsaw. He is ready. The boarding torpedoes fire. Steel coffins spear through the void, trailing contrails of dry flame. Chaos ships belch fire at them, but void debris and their own shields soak most of it. Doomslayer's torpedo slams into Malikor's flagship. The hull is not metal, not fully. Warp-grown flesh and twisted steel mix in hideous ways. The impact drives the torpedo deep. Breaching charges go off in a thunder of white light. The front of the torpedo blows open. The Marines charge out first, bolters roaring. The Doomslayer follows, stepping into a nightmare. The corridor is a living thing. Walls made of black metal and meat. Pipes throb like veins. Eyes open in the bulkheads as they pass, weeping blood. Chaos. Marines in blood-splattered armor rush to meet them, guns barking. Warp-mutated cultists swarm from doorways, chanting prayers to dark gods. The Doomslayer moves like he always has. A Chaos Marine levels a bolter at him. He snaps his shotgun up and takes the Marine's head off with a single blast. He uses the falling body as a shield against another spray of rounds, then hurls it into a cluster of cultists. He never stops moving. He pushes forward, always toward the heart. The Black Templars form a wedge around him. They chant litanies as they kill. "Emperor, guide our hands. Emperor, judge the wicked." He is silent. His prayer is in his fists. They carve a path through Malikor's ship. Each room is worse. An arena filled with skulls, where demons spar and laugh. A shrine made of flayed skin, where priests of Khorne howl. An engine deck where the heart of the ship beats like a living thing, pumping warp light into the guns. Everywhere, the Doomslayer kills. He punches a possessed through its own chest. He rips a gunner out of his turret and breaks his spine over his knee. He uses a chained demon's own bonds as a garrote, tearing its head off with a twist. He notices the difference. These demons are not like Hell's. They are older, stronger. They have gods instead of a single dark will. They also have help. The warp pressure in the ship grows thicker the deeper they go. Invisible hands push at his mind, trying to slow him, to twist his thoughts. He feels something tug on his rage, as if someone is trying to pick it up and turn it like a tool. He grits his teeth and pushes back. After a long, brutal push, they reach a great set of doors. They are tall enough for titans, carved with symbols that burn the eyes, skulls, flames, the twisting rune of chaos undivided. The doors open on their own. The throne room of Malachor the Unbound waits beyond. It is a hall of glass and shadow. Reality bends in slow waves. Stairs lead up to a raised dais where a figure stands surrounded by floating tomes and chains made of black light. Malachor is taller than a space marine. His armor is blue and gold, etched with words in a dead tongue. His helm is a smooth scarab mask with burning eyes. One hand holds a staff made of bound souls and crystal. The other drips with black fire. At his feet, chains of light run across the floor in complex patterns. They move. They reach out toward the Doomslayer as he steps into the hall. "So," Malachor says. His voice echoes from everywhere at once. "The beast that shook the warp comes to my temple. I wondered when you would arrive." The Black Templars fan out, bolters leveled. "Witch," Alaric growls. "Your ship dies today. Your soul follows." Malachor laughs softly. "Children of a rotting corpse," he says. "Always so sure." His eyes flick to the Slayer. "But you are not one of them, are you?" he murmurs. "You are something else. Something made in another hell. The warp told me about you. How you broke another realm's demons. How your rage burned even in that void." He raises his staff. The chains of light on the floor surge. They are not real metal. They are made of thought and hate. They wrap around the Doomslayer's boots like ghost snakes. He tries to move. His legs will not obey. The chains climb higher, glowing brighter as they feed on something inside him. Malachor's laughter grows. "I forged these from your first scream when you fell into our sea," he says. "All that rage, all that single-minded hate for my kin. Did you think it was only a weapon for you? It is also a leash, a line I can follow back to you whenever I wish." The Doomslayer strains. His suit responds, argent lines flaring. The warp concepts in the chains sizzle where they touch his armor, but they do not break. Bolters bark as the Black Templars fire at Malachor. The sorcerer lifts his free hand. A wall of shimmering force appears, catching the rounds and turning them into cinders. The Marines charge, swords raised. Malachor gestures. The floor splits, and a wave of warp fire roars out, throwing them back. Armor blackens, seals burn. One Marine's helmet melts, and he dies screaming as his face is eaten by unreality. The Doomslayer feels his rage spike. The chains tighten. Power scaling interlude I. His bindings are keyed to emotion, Varro explains later, replaying the battle feed in the Strategium. They are woven from warp energy that responds to hatred itself. The more Doomslayer burns, the tighter they grip. Our own librarians say his armor runs on a kind of soul fire, like a cousin to the warp, Cord adds. Malachor's hexes can hook into that, like tapping a power line. It means brute force will not be enough, Alaric says. To break those chains, he must either master his rage or find a different fuel. And Malachor knows that, Varro finishes. He is not just stronger in raw warp power. He is built to hurt our new ally where it matters most, his purpose. In the hall, the chains of light bite deeper into the Doomslayer's legs. They crawl up his thighs, around his waist, trying to reach his chest. The more his anger rises, the hotter they burn. Every breath feeds them. Malachor watches with calm delight. "You see," the sorcerer says, "you are not a free beast. You are a reaction, a tool. Rage pointed at an enemy. I can point you too." Black Templars struggle to rise. Smoke pours from their armor vents. One Marine pulls himself up on a cracked column, half his tabard burned away. He spits blood, raises his bolter, and fires again. Malachor lazily flicks his staff. The rounds turn to butterflies made of ash before they reach him. "Stop wasting ammunition," the sorcerer says. "You are not my concern today, not unless you force me." Alaric staggers to his feet. His white cross is scorched. His sword's teeth glow red from warp heat. He lifts it anyway, eyes bright with fury. "You dare stand before sons of dawn and claim we are nothing," he snarls. Malakor's eyes shift to him. "You are flavor," he says with a shrug. "A familiar note in a very old song. I know how to break you. Fear, doubt, temptation. I have done it 1,000 times." He gestures, and the air around Alaric grows heavy. Whispers press at the Templar's ears. Visions flash, his brothers dying, his crusade failing, black ships dragging the innocent into the dark. His knees almost buckle. Almost. He jams his sword point first into the deck to hold himself upright. "I have heard worse voices in confession," he grits out. "You are only noise, witch." He looks at the Doomslayer. "But he," Alaric says, "is new, and you fear him." Malakor's helm turns back to the Slayer. The chains have now wrapped around his chest and arms. They pin him in place, glowing bright. "I do not fear him," the sorcerer replies. "I covet him. I have seen what he did to another hell. Imagine what he could do in this one, if I turned his rage at the right targets. If I let him loose on the Imperium that hurt you, little Marines." He steps down from the dais, each step bending the air. "Listen, Slayer," Malakor says. "You have walked through eternity's fire. You know how stupid most mortals are. They build the same cages again and again. They worship dead men on thrones. They beg monsters like me for scraps of power." He stops a few meters away. "I can give you something better," Malakor whispers. "Not protection, not peace. You do not care for those. I can give you more demons, endless demons. Whole worlds opened as hunting grounds. You kill them. I harvest the energy. The gods are fed, I am fed, and you never run out of things to rip and tear." His voice softens. "You fight for humans, but they betray you. You fight for worlds, but they burn anyway. With me, at least the killing means something. At least the demons never run out." The Doomslayer stares at him. For a heartbeat, the hall falls quiet. He remembers. He remembers Mars and the UAC and the first portal. He remembers how men took Hell's power and tried to bottle it. He remembers standing in a clean white office while a woman in a suit smiled and talked about energy solutions. He remembers how that ended. Something else stirs under the chains. Not more rage, older than rage. Resolve. He does not fight for humans because they are good. He fights for them because they are fragile, because something has to stand in the way. His visor display flickers. A tiny icon blinks at the edge. A symbol. A simple cross, iron grey, hanging from his belt. Alaric's gift. For a second, he sees it not as metal, but as a link. Not to the Emperor, not to a god, to a choice. He looks at Malakor. The chains tighten again as his heart rate spikes. They dig into the seams of his armor, trying to reach his soul. He growls. It is a low, grinding sound. The sorcerer tilts his head. "Accept," Malakor says softly. "Let me guide your hate. I will turn you against the false emperor, against the weak. Together we make a new order. You wanted the demons never to end. I can do that." The Doomslayer moves. Not much, just enough. His hand lifts, slow and heavy, chains cutting into his gauntlet. He grips the small iron cross at his belt. Malakor's eyes flare. "What are you?" The Slayer squeezes. The cross is just metal, a token from a warrior who believes in something bigger. But in this moment, it anchors him. He pulls his rage back, away from blind fire and toward one clear point. He is not angry at everything. He is angry at one thing: demons. The chains falter. They were made from unfocused hate, grabbed when he first fell into the warp. They tighten when he thrashes. They slip when he aims. He focuses on one target, the man in front of him. He yanks. The chains crackle. Argent energy surges along them, flowing backward against Malakor's pull. The sorcerer's eyes widen. What? The Doomslayer roars. The sound is not words. It is rejection. The chains shatter. Light explodes across the hall as shards of thought and hate tear loose. The backlash hits both of them. Malakor is thrown back across his own dais. He slams into a pillar, cracking it. Black fire spills from his armor, his staff flickering. The Doomslayer is blown to his knees. His armor screams warnings. Argent lines dim and spike, then dim again. His heart stumbles once. He pushes himself up anyway. Malakor rises slowly. Smoke leaks from his joints. His helm is cracked, a line running down one glowing eye. Blood, not red, but thick and dark, drips from the crack. "You refuse me?" he says. His voice is no longer calm. It shakes with real anger. "You dare refuse me?" He slams his staff into the floor. The hall twists. Demons pour from the walls, screaming half-formed things made from his pain and the ship's flesh. Warp fire lashes out, forming blades. The Black Templars regroup. "Forward," Alaric roars. "Shield the Slayer." They charge. The hall becomes a storm. Bolters roar, swords cut. Warp fire and argent energy clash, filling the air with toxic light. The Doomslayer heads straight for Malakor. The sorcerer hurls spells at him, lashes of force that crack his armor, waves of terror that crush normal men flat, shards of frozen time that try to lock his limbs. He pushes through all of it. The wound from the chains burns inside him. It is not clean pain. It is a mark. Something has hooked into his soul and refuses to let go. He can feel Malakor still pulling on it, trying to slow his steps, trying to drag him to his knees. He refuses. He reaches the dais. Malakor raises his staff to block, words of power spraying from his lips. The Doomslayer grabs the staff with one hand, Malakor's throat with the other. They lock. Warp energy and argent energy wrestle in the air between them, crackling like storm lightning. Malakor's helm is inches from the Slayer's visor. "Look at them," Malakor hisses. "You're humans. You're little meat things. Even now they burn in your name. The demons know you. They are coming for you. You cannot save them. Join me, and at least your work will last." He tries one last push. He shoves images into the Slayer's mind. 1,000 battlefields, worlds cracking, demons laughing as cities die. The Imperium's cold cruelty. The Emperor, a corpse on a throne, draining souls by the billion. "Nothing changes," Malakor whispers. "Nothing ever gets better. Except the killing. That at least is honest. Be honest with yourself. You love this." For a second, the Doomslayer is back in the UAC base. He remembers ripping. He remembers tearing. He remembers the clean joy of a demon dying under his hands. He also remembers the look on a scientist's face as the demons broke through the glass. Terror, regret. He crushes Malakor's throat tighter. He loves justice more. His knee drives up into the sorcerer's chest. Armor dents. Ribs crack. Malakor chokes. The Slayer wrenches the staff free and breaks it over his knee. The crystal core shatters, spilling trapped souls into the air. They scream once and vanish. He drags Malakor off the dais and slams him down the stairs, each impact cracking armor. The sorcerer tries to shape a spell with one hand. The Doomslayer stomps on that hand. Bones snap. Warp fire sputters. He grabs Malika's helm with both hands and pulls. The helm's locks groan. Malika howls. "Stop! You cannot kill me, beast. I am bound to the warp, to Tzinch, changer of ways. I will only..." The helm comes free. Beneath it, Malika's face is unnatural. Half man, half something else. Skin written with moving runes, eyes full of burning stars. The Doomslayer sees none of that. He sees a target. He smashes Malakor's face into the floor, once, twice, 3 times. Skull cracks, warp light sprays. The sorcerer's body convulses. He reaches out with his mind, desperate. He tries one last time to hook the mark he left in the Slayer's soul and turn it into a knife. He hits something else. For a heartbeat, something vast looks back at him. Malika glimpses not a god, not a man, but a will that has walked every hell it has ever found and refused each one. He breaks. His body goes limp. His spirit tries to flee into the warp, but it is wrapped in argent fire and torn apart. The Doomslayer keeps smashing until there is nothing left that looks like a face. The warp shudders. All through the ship, lesser demons scream as their master dies. Some vanish, some go mad. The hall begins to tear itself apart. Reality frays. Walls of meat and metal curl in on themselves, dragged toward a growing hole in the air where Malakor's throne once sat. Alaric staggers up the stairs. "Slayer!" he yells over the screaming noise. "We must go. The ship is dying." The Doomslayer straightens. His armor is cracked worse than before, warped by hexes. Blood, his own and others, coats him. His breathing is slow and harsh. Inside, the mark Malakor left burns like a small sun. Something in the warp now knows his taste very well. He walks toward the ripping hole. Alaric swears. "No," the sergeant shouts. "Not that way. We will be torn." The Slayer grabs a fallen Chaos Marine's jump pack and slams the controls into his own armor's systems. Cables spark as the tech priest's worst nightmares come true. He does not care. He shoulders his way to the edge of the collapsing hall. Beneath them, a vast gulf opens to the ship's bleeding core and then to space beyond. Through torn hull and warp light, he sees the void. He jumps. The makeshift pack spits fire. He shoots across open space, pulled toward the distant shape of the strike cruiser as it burns away from the dying Chaos ship. Behind him, Malakor's flagship twists, folds, and vanishes in a silent warp implosion. On the Imperial ship's bridge, Cord and Varro watch the explosion. The hollow shows a flaring wound of light where the enemy ship once was. "Lord Malakor is gone," Varro breathes. "By the throne. He actually did it." "Signal the kill team," Cord says. "I want to know if any of them..." A red dot blinks at the edge of the ship's void shields. "Unidentified contact," a sensor officer shouts. "Small, fast, coming straight at us." An alarm blares. Shields weakening. Then something hits the hull, hard. Several decks down, on a hangar bay's outer door, metal groans. A fist punches through. The Doomslayer pulls himself inside, dripping void frost and chaos blood. He falls to one knee as gravity takes him, lungs burning. Servitors beep in panic. Crewmen stare. He pushes himself to his feet again and walks toward the nearest lift. Codex note. Subject's soul now bears a latent warp brand keyed to the late sorcerer Malakor's pattern. While the witch is dead, the brand leaves Doomslayer more visible and vulnerable to future psychic manipulation and warp notice. Up to now, the Doomslayer has refused the sorcerer's offer, broken his chains by turning rage into focus, killed Malika in brutal close combat, and gained a warp mark that makes him both stronger and more exposed. The aftermath is not victory music. It is pain and suspicion. The Doomslayer lies on a medici slab in the strike cruiser's infirmary. He hates it. Clamp arms hum over him, cutting away pieces of his cracked armor to reach the torn flesh beneath. Autodoc needles try to stitch muscle and pour synth blood into his veins. He bears it because he has to. Varro Thane stands behind a glass ward field, arms folded. A psyker sits near him, chained to a chair, eyes white with strain as they look at the Slayer's soul. "What do you see?" Varro asks. "Noise," the psyker whispers. "Rage, refusal, a scar. Something tried to bind him and failed. The mark is still there. It links him to a space where Malachor used to stand." "Is it a risk?" Varro asks. "Yes," the psyker says simply. "The warp knows him now, more than before. He is like a bonfire in a dark field." Varro's jaw tightens. Alaric is there too, helmet off, a burn running down one side of his face. "He killed the witch," the sergeant says. "We saw it. The sorcerer's head pulped beneath his hands, the ship's stronghold collapsing, the warp screaming in pain." "I know," Varro replies. "I watched the feeds. I also watched how the warp chains locked onto his rage." Cord appears at Varro's side. "We would all have died on Armageddon if not for him," she says. "The demon incursions are already thinning, now that Malachor's ritual hub is gone. We have proof from the astropaths." "You are both right," Varro says. "That is the problem. He is an asset and a threat." He taps a control on his slate. A small hollow appears over the glass. It shows the Sol system, Terra at its heart. The light of the Astronomicon burning like a golden stain on the warp. "We cannot keep him in a war zone with weak faith and weak walls," Varro says. "Not with that mark. If another sorcerer or a demon prince, or even a god decides to pull on that thread, they could turn him, or break him, or use him as a key to open doors we have spent 10,000 years holding shut." Cord frowns. "So what? You want to throw him out of the airlock now?" she asks. "After he saved us twice?" "No," Varro says. "We take him to someone who can judge him, truly judge, someone who may know how to use him without losing us all." Alaric's eyes widen. "You mean Holy Terra?" Varro says. "The Imperial Palace, the Golden Throne. We bring this Doomslayer before the Emperor of Mankind himself." Cord stares at him. "You know how insane that sounds," she says. "Even if I could get approval to approach Terra with an unknown paramortal on board, there would be 100 chances to get shot out of the void on the way in. The custodes are not forgiving." Varro nods. "Yes," he says, "which is why we will not ask ahead of time." Cord actually laughs once. It is bitter. "You plan to show up at the most heavily defended world in the galaxy with a warp-marked monster in your hold and hope they listen before they blast you," she says. "You really are an inquisitor." "My rosette gives me some room to gamble," Varro replies. "If the Emperor himself sees this being and commands his death, then we kill him. If not..." He looks at the Slayer on the slab. The Doomslayer watches them through half-lidded eyes, aware even as drugs pull at him. "Then maybe," Varro says, "the Emperor has work for him." Cord rubs her face. "Fine," she says, "at last. I will divert this cruiser to Sol. I will write a lie about specialized quarantine and escort. But if we die halfway, I will come back as a ghost and shout at you." "I would expect nothing less," Varro says. Alaric bows his head. "To stand in the shadow of the throne," he murmurs. "To see the walls that our Primarch once walked. I did not think I would ever be called there. If this is the path, I will walk it." Target set. The strike cruiser burns for the Sol system. The voyage is hard. The warp is restless after Malachor's death. Storms rage across its currents. The ship's Geller field, the protective bubble that keeps real space sane inside the warp, flickers more often than the tech priests like. Chapel decks stay full. Crewmen kneel and pray for safe passage. Psalms of protection echo down metal halls. Chaplains beat their crozier staves on the deck to keep rhythm. The Doomslayer walks those halls like a silent guardian. He cannot sleep. Every time he closes his eyes, he feels the mark twist. He sees flashes of other eyes watching him from the warp. Not just one god, many. Khorne's fury, Tzeentch's cold curiosity, Slaanesh's hunger, Nurgle's foul warmth. They all press against the walls of his mind, feeling for cracks. He pushes back by doing what he does best. He patrols. When a warp thing claws at the edge of the Geller field, he senses it. He heads to the nearest point where reality thins. Once, he finds a corridor covered in frost, air full of whispers. A minor demon has pushed its claw through, the Geller field sparking as it struggles. The Doomslayer charges it without hesitation. He slams into the half-formed creature, grabs its arm, and snaps it off at the elbow. The Geller field flares, healing itself around the wound. He smashes the rest of the demon against the bulkhead until nothing is left but black smear. Sailors who saw the whole thing from behind a ward barrier cross themselves, eyes wide. Word spreads. The Doomslayer has become for this crew a walking ward, a monster that keeps worse monsters away. In the ship's main chapel, a different debate plays out. Varro stands before a simple altar, candles burning. Alaric kneels nearby, helmet resting on the floor. "You do not trust him," Alaric says. "I do not trust anyone," Varro replies. "Not fully, not even myself, especially not a being that walks out of the warp with deleted records behind him. He has saved your life twice," Alaric says. "And I have seen saints fall after years of service," Varro answers. "One good deed does not erase the risk, but I will admit this much. I do not think he lies. I do not think he knows how." Alaric smiles crookedly. "His code is brutal," the Templar says, "but clear. Kill demons, protect humans, refuse chains. I can work with that." "You say that because your own code is almost the same," Varro says. "It works," Alaric says simply. Varro gazes at the altar. "What do you think the Emperor will do?" he asks, quietly. Alaric is silent for a moment. "Judge," he says at last, "as he judged all of us when he made us. He will look into the Doomslayer's soul and decide if his rage serves mankind or dooms it." A soft sound comes from the back of the chapel. The Doomslayer stands in the doorway. He must have heard part of that last line. He does not seem offended. He walks forward, eyes on the altar. Varro watches him. "We were talking about you," the Inquisitor says. "About your purpose." The Doomslayer stops near the candles. He does not kneel. He does not know how. He looks at the golden symbol on the wall, the double-headed eagle of the Imperium. He has seen many symbols of power. Most hid lies. This one hides a corpse on a throne who still pushes his will through a dead body. Varro steps closer. "Why do you fight?" he asks softly. "You do not do it for glory. You do not take trophies. You do not speak boasts. You kill until the field is quiet, and then you leave. Why?" The Doomslayer thinks of hell, of earth burning, of a rabbit he once held with rough hands, and the day he came back to find only blood. He thinks of a promise he never said out loud. He lifts one hand and taps the words etched into his armor. "Rip and tear until it is done." Varro reads them. "Until what is done?" the Inquisitor presses. The Slayer looks at him. He finally speaks. His voice is rough, like unused stone. "Until they stop," he says. Just 3 words. Varro feels them like a weight. Until who stops? He asks. Them, the Slayer says. He gestures outward. Demons, hell, warp, all of it. He looks back at the altar. If they stop, he says slowly, I stop. Varro studies his face. No joy, no madness, just a simple, terrible vow. Your ethic then, Varro said. Stop the demons, whatever it costs. The Slayer nods once. Varro glances at the altar again. That may be enough for the Emperor, he murmurs. Or it may not. We will find out. The voyage nears its midpoint. That is when Mirafo B appears. It starts as a tremor in the Geller field. Tech priests report a spike. The field hums at a higher pitch. The ship's machine spirits whine, restless. Then the dreams begin. Crewmen wake up screaming, saying they saw themselves tearing their own skin off in battles that never happened. Black Templars dream of a crusade where they killed not demons, but pilgrims. Varro dreams of an Inquisitor's chamber full of bones with his own face. The Doomslayer does not dream. He feels. A presence presses at the mark inside him. Not Malachor, something that crawled along that broken chain. It feels like him, if he had made a different choice. An alarm blares. Warp intrusion, someone cries over the Vox. Not outside the field, inside. The ship shudders. Reality ripples along the main axis. Walls blur. Lights stutter. In the central cargo bay, space peels open like skin. A figure steps out. It wears green armor like the Doomslayers, but stretched and wrong. Its visor burns red. Its gauntlets drip black ichor. Around its shoulders, demons cling like dogs. Tiny imps chatter. Larger beasts snarl. It looks around. Its gaze feels like knives. Black Templars sprint toward the bay. Report, Alaric demands. Varro's voice comes back. Something manifested using the Slayer's brand as an anchor, the Inquisitor says. Our librarian calls it an echo, a false Slayer, built from warp mud and his own legend. In the bay, the Mirafo looks down at its hands. I remember, it says. Its voice is the Slayer's, but twisted. I remember every kill, every scream, every break of bone. Why did we ever stop? The real Doomslayer steps into the bay's far entrance. The Echo's head snaps up. Ah, it says, there you are. They face each other across the deck. Chaos whispers through the Vox. Crewmen watching from the galleries feel sick, as if they are looking at a wound in time. The Mirafo tilts its head. I am what you could be, it says. No doubts, no limits, no humans to protect, just the joy of tearing. We were happiest that way. The Doomslayer says nothing. He walks forward. The Echo laughs. Of course you want to fight, it says. We are the same. But here is the twist. I do not fight demons only. I fight anyone, everyone. The warp promised endless prey. I said yes. Demons around it hiss in delight. The Doomslayer keeps walking. Black Templars line the upper rails, bolters ready, but unsure where to aim. Do we shoot? One asks. Not yet, Alaric says quietly. We might hit the wrong one. The two Slayers meet in the center of the bay. The Mirafo moves first. It slams a fist into the real Slayer's chest, close enough to dent armor. Dark fire bursts from its hand, burning along the cracks Malachor left. Pain rips through the Doomslayer. The mirror's power bites where the brand lies. Every choice he has made not to kill a human, every time he held back, rises in his mind as if mocked. You grew soft, the Echo sneers. You care, they will die anyway. The Doomslayer throws a punch. Their fists meet. Shockwaves crack the deck. He feels his own strength thrown back at him. It is like punching a mirror that punches back twice as hard. They trade blows. Each hit could break tanks. Flesh bruises under ceramite. Armor cracks further. The bay's bulkheads groan. The mirror foe fights dirty. It goes for old wounds. It aims at the brand in his soul, sending pulses of warp force along it. Each pulse tries to peel away his purpose and leave only hunger. You think you are better than me, it laughs. You killed for joy too. Do you remember the first time you tore one apart and smiled? The Doomslayer remembers. He knows that part of himself is real. He does not deny it. He just chooses something else. He takes a step back and stops trying to outpunch his own strength. He shifts tactics. He grabs the Echo's arm as it swings at his head, twists, and uses its own momentum to slam it into the deck. He pins it with a knee on its spine. The mirror foe snarls. You cannot hold me, it hisses. I am you. If you kill me, you kill part of yourself. You will be weaker. Maybe. He can live with that. He looks up at the rails. Now, Varro's voice snaps. Blessed charges detonate all around the bay. The Inquisition had laid them in quiet days, just in case. Holy light floods the room. Incense burners at the corners flare, white fire blasting down. The Geller field localizes. For a brief second, the bay becomes a bubble of real space inside the warp. The mirror foe screams. It is made of warp stuff and stolen legend. Under that pure pressure, it melts. The Doomslayer stays kneeling on its back as it dissolves, letting the burning light wash over him too. It hurts. It sears the brand, making it flare then quiet. The Echo's body turns to smoke. Its voice fades last. This is not over, it whispers in his ear. You cannot kill what you are. Then it is gone. The bay fills with silence and the smell of burned ozone. The Doomslayer slowly rises. His armor is scorched, but still whole. He feels emptier, like something that had been gnawing at him from inside for years just got its teeth broken. He can breathe easier. Varro and Alaric appear at the lower hatch. That was our mirror foe, Varro says. A twisted version of you that accepted every dark offer. If it had anchored fully, it could have overridden you. We took a risk with those charges. The Doomslayer looks at him. You used me, he says. The words are flat. We used your decision, Varro replies. You chose not to be that thing. The charges only burned what did not belong in real space. If you had wavered. He does not finish the sentence. Alaric steps closer. You held, the Templar says. That is what matters. And if the warp tries that trick again, it will find prepared ground. The ship's bells toll. They have crossed the last major warp shoal. Sol is ahead. Soon after, the strike cruiser drops out of the warp at the edge of the Sol system. The view through the main port is humbling. The sun burns bright, planets spin in coal paths, ships fill the void, an armada of war vessels, defenses and sacred platforms. Ahead, Terra shines half in light, half shadow. Orbital rings encircle it. Gun platforms hang like steel thorns. Void shields shimmer faintly. The Astronomican's psychic beam pours from the planet like a lighthouse made of screaming souls. By dawn, Alaric whispers, we are home. Navy Vox channels light up. Unidentified strike cruiser. You have entered restricted space, a cold voice says. Transmit identification and purpose or be destroyed. Cord steps to the transmitter. This is the strike cruiser Relentless Faith, she says, carrying Inquisitor Varro Thane, Ordo Malleus, with priority code. We request passage to low Terra orbit for high-level consultation. Details classified. A pause. Then another voice, even more clipped. Code accepted. You are cleared for approach to Terra. Any deviation from assigned course will result in immediate destruction. Welcome to the throne's shadow, relentless faith. As the ship glides closer, the view changes. They pass titanic warships of the Imperial Fists and other chapters. They cross paths with silent black vessels of the Officio Assassinorum. They see the phalanx in the distance, a fortress monastery the size of a small moon. Then the Imperial Palace comes into sight. It covers most of a continent. Walls like mountains, towers like cities, cathedrals stacked upon cathedrals. Lightning fields crackle over its spires. Gold glints in the sun. As the cruiser dips into low orbit, gun cutters detach and descend. The Doomslayer rides one of them, with Varro, Alaric, and a small honor guard of Templars. The cutter pierces layer after layer of defense. Shield bubbles, weapon arrays, watcher satellites. Each one scans them. Each one hesitates and then lets them pass. They land on a platform big enough for a city square. Waiting at its center are golden giants, the Adeptus Custodes. They are taller than Astartes. Their armor is pure gold, worked with eagles and laurels. They carry guardian spears, power weapons and bolters in one. Beside them stand women in grey armor with empty, cold eyes. The Sisters of Silence. Blanks. People without any soul print in the warp. Their mere presence makes psychers sick. The Doomslayer feels them like cold knives. The mark inside him shrinks away from their emptiness. It is a strange, almost pleasant relief. The chief custodian steps forward. "I am Shield Captain Hellion," he says. His voice is calm, deadly. "You bring an anomaly to the palace, Inquisitor Thane. Explain." Varro bows. "By my sealed authority, I request audience with the Master of Mankind for this warrior," he says. "He is touched by the warp, but not claimed by it. He has slain a great sorcerer threatening Armageddon. He is also branded and visible. I dare not keep him in the field. I bring him for judgment." Hillian studies the Doomslayer. Those golden eyes see more than armor. He nods once. "The Emperor is aware," he says. "He has allowed you to approach. That is rare. Do not waste it." He turns to the Slayer. "Follow," he says. "Do not draw weapons. Do not touch anything you are not told to. If you turn, you will die before your next breath." The Doomslayer nods. He offers no promises. He does not need to. They walk into the palace. It is like walking into a mountain of faith. Halls stretch for kilometers, full of statues, banners, and frescoes of war. Vaulted ceilings glow with golden light. Pilgrims and petitioners kneel inside chapels, watched by silent guards. At certain points, Sisters of Silence stand in arcs, creating zones where the warp is distant. The Doomslayer feels the brand inside him quiet every time he passes them. It is like passing through cool water. They descend, deeper and deeper, past the living areas, past the armories, into the inner crypts where only the custards walk. The air grows heavy. Whole walls are made of gold, etched with 10,000 years of names. They reach a final set of doors. They are tall beyond reason. They are carved with the history of the Imperium. At a gesture from Hellion, they open. Heat and light blast out. The throne room. At its center stands the golden throne itself, a machine the size of a fortress. Cables thicker than train cars snake into it from every direction. Psyker's dead shells line its feeding bays. On the throne sits a figure. He is still. His flesh is mummy dry. Golden armor wraps his broken body. The Emperor of Mankind. He has not moved in 10,000 years, but his mind has never stopped. The air around the throne shimmers. A pressure like God's attention falls on the room. Sisters of Silence stand in a ring around the chamber, killing most of the warp sound. Custodes ring them, spears ready. The Doomslayer steps forward. For the first time in this galaxy, he feels small. Not because of the size of the machine, because of the will sitting inside it. He's used to hell screaming at him. He's used to gods trying to threaten or tempt him. This is not like that. This is not a demon or a man. This is a mind that burned worlds and built an empire, now chained to a dying body, still holding back a galaxy of monsters by sheer refusal to stop. It feels familiar. Varro kneels. So does everyone else in the room, even the custodes. Everyone except the Doomslayer. He does not know the ritual. He simply stands and looks. The Emperor's gaze looks back, not with eyes, with thought. The Doomslayer's vision goes white. He is no longer in the throne room. He's in a sea of stars. He stands on a plain full of corpses, human, demon, alien. At the far end of the plain stands a figure in gold. No throne, just armor and a sword. The figure speaks without moving its mouth. "You are far from home," the Emperor says. The Doomslayer does not answer with words. He projects an image. Earth, Mars, Hell portals, the UAC, Vega, the Argent engine. The Emperor understands in a heartbeat. "You broke a lesser hell," he says, "and they threw you here with their dying machine. The warp tasted you and began to change. You are a foreign element in an old war." Images flash between them. Armageddon, Hell's Reach, Malakor's chains, the mirror foe. The Emperor sees the mark. He does not flinch. "This sorcerer tried to bind you," he says. "He failed, but his brand remains. The gods can see you through it. They can send more chains, more lies." He places a hand over the mark in the vision. It burns. The Doomslayer grunts once. "This wound will never fully close," the Emperor says. "Not as long as you walk the warp, but I can change how it works." He shows 3 images. In the first, the Slayer walks back into a smaller portal. He returns to his own timeline. Memories fade. Details blur. The demons might rise again there without his full knowledge to stop them. In the second, the Slayer moves alone through the stars. He becomes a legend. Worlds call his name and fear him. The Inquisition hunts him as much as chaos does. Civil wars spark wherever he appears. In the third, he stands among space marines, guardsmen, and inquisitors. Chains of law and oaths wrap part of his rage, directing it. He kills fewer humans by accident. He kills more demons with purpose. He loses freedom, keeps focus. "These are not precise prophecies," the Emperor says. "They are likely lines from what I see of you." He does not ask a question yet. He shows the cost. "For you to fight for my Imperium," the Emperor says, "I must tie you closer to its light. I can anchor your mark to the Astronomicon, to my own will. That way, when the gods pull on it, they pull against me too. It will hurt you. Each battle will burn you faster. It will also let you wound them deeper." He shows another picture. The Doomslayer stands on a demon world, killing not just bodies, but warp fonts. Every time he fights, the brand glows with golden and argent light. Demons die more permanently. "The more you do this," the Emperor says, "the more you become a beacon. The more you burn, the shorter your span. You may not see the far end of this age, but for a while, you could be the sharpest knife I have." The Slayer listens. He does not know much about empires. He knows about knives. "Or," the Emperor continues, "you could go home. I could turn the broken portals and Malakor's brand into a single path back. I cannot promise what you will find there. Time moves strangely between realms. You might arrive before you left, or long after. You will likely forget some of this, but you would be free." The third option hangs between them. "Or you can refuse all," the Emperor says. You could break free of my sight. You could wander this galaxy as something between demon and man. You would save some. You would doom others. You would be a storm no one controls. He finally asks, "What do you choose?" For a man who rarely speaks, this is a lot. The Doomslayer answers the only way he knows how. He looks at the plain of corpses around them. He imagines Earth again, Mars, all the people he did not save. He imagines the billions here, hive worlds, shrine worlds, forgotten colonies. He cannot clean all of it, but he can pick where the worst fires burn. He sends back one thought. "I don't stop," he says. The Emperor regards him. "Not an answer to my 3 neat paths," he says. There is a hint of dry amusement in the huge sadness of his tone. "Very well, I will shape one for you." The white light fades. The Doomslayer is back in the throne room. His knees hit the floor without him deciding. Not in worship, because his legs almost gave out. The mark inside him throbs. New lines of heat run through it, like wires have been soldered into his soul. They lead up, toward the throne, toward the Astronomicon. Helion watches him. "So?" the shield captain asks. Varro and Alaric look up, eyes wide. The Emperor does not speak aloud, but a wave moves through the chamber. Every psyker in the palace hears a single clear word in their head. Sanctioned. Power scaling interlude 2. His brand now runs through the Astronomicon's edge. Varro explains later, reviewing the readings with nervous awe. The Emperor has tied Doomslayer to his own beacon. When the gods pull on the old mark, they now tug against the throne, not just the man. It cuts both ways, a custode's adept notes. Every time he unleashes his full hate, he draws on that link. It hurts him. It drains a trace of the beacon. It cannot be used for trivial fights. So we limit his deployments, Cord concludes. No endless crusade. We send him where the warp truly boils. Black crusades, demon worlds, heretic shrines. And he must accept command, Alaric adds. No lone wolf. He will fight in a spearhead, with Astartes and Inquisition oversight. His freedom traded for better aim. The Emperor has made him a weapon, Varro says quietly. Not wild, not tame, leashed to a star. The Doomslayer's vision clears. He is still in the throne room. The air hums like a held breath. Sisters of Silence stand as still as statues. Custodes watch him over their spears. Something has changed. He feels it inside his chest, where Malakor's mark sat. The brand still burns, but its heat is different. Less like a hook, more like a chain tied to something steady and huge. He pushes himself up from his knees. Helion, the shield captain, studies him closely. Inquisitor Thane, Helion says. What did he show the beast? Varro rises from his kneel. He showed him choices, Varro says quietly. Paths, and he bound one. Alaric looks at the Slayer. What path? The Black Templar asks. The Doomslayer answers without looking away from the throne. Not home, he says. Not alone. His voice is still rough but clearer. Here, he says, with rules. Varro nods once. The Emperor has sanctioned him, the Inquisitor says. He will not be a rogue storm. He will be a weapon under law. Cord lets out a breath she had not known she was holding. Then we have work, she says, if he wills it. Light flares around the throne. Not a blast, a soft, steady glow. It reaches out like a hand and touches the Doomslayer's armor. The Praetor suit locks. Warning runes flash, then vanish. The argent lines along its frame brighten and then shift color, threaded with thin streaks of gold. Symbols appear on his chest plate. The old Maker runes remain, dark and hard. Over them, A small burning aquila etches itself in light. Behind it, almost hidden, a simple cross like Alaric's hangs as a ghost shape, iron grey. His visor feed floods with data not from Vega, not from UAC. New icons bloom at the edge of his vision. A golden eye, a stylized eye for Inquisition, a small, steady sun that points always toward terror. Each one is linked to the brand inside him. When demons roar in the warp, the mark will tug. When the Astronomicon flares in warning, the mark will heat. He will feel where the worst tears open. It also means something else. Every time he digs deep into his rage, every time he lets the Argent power roar, he will pull on that link. It will burn him. It will burn the throne, a fraction at a time. The Emperor has accepted that cost. So has he. The glow fades. The throne is still. Helion lowers his spear in a formal salute. By his silent word, the shield captain says, "You are now a sanctioned weapon of terror, Doomslayer. You will be watched. You will be guided. But you are his." The Doomslayer nods. He does not kneel. The Emperor knows that is not how he is built. Varro steps closer. "I will put the decree into proper words," the Inquisitor says. "The laws, the limits, the rules you spoke of. You may ignore the parchment, but know this. Obeying those rules will put you where your work matters most." The Slayer looks at him. "Kill demons," he says. "Protect people. Don't break your empire unless I have to." It is his understanding of the deal. Varro's mouth twitches. "As rough as that is," he says, "it is not far from the writ I will write." Alaric takes a step forward. "Then let us swear it together," he says, "as warriors of his will." He draws his chainsword and plants its tip on the floor, both hands on the hilt, like a knight with a relic. "I swear," Alaric says, "to stand with this Doomslayer when he fights the warp for mankind, as long as he does not stray into heresy or murder of the innocent." He looks up at the Slayer. "Can you swear anything?" he asks. The Doomslayer thinks. He does not love oaths. Words are easy. Killing is hard. But this is simple. "I swear," he says slowly, "if I have to choose, I choose the ones who can't fight. Every time." Cord hears it. She nods once. "That is enough for a Navy officer," she said. "We bleed for the ones who can't shoot back." Helion says nothing, but he does not object. They leave the throne room. The Emperor goes back to his endless war in the warp. The Doomslayer goes to a new war council. The room is smaller than the main strategium, but still big enough for a regiment's dreams. Maps of the galaxy hang in the air. Red scars mark black crusades and demon fronts. Whole sectors blink with hazard runes. Varro Thane stands at the center of the hollow table, rosette glinting. Cord, in a new, cleaner uniform, stands to his left. She has been promoted to a sector command for her part in Armageddon's defense. Alaric, now wearing a new purity seal with Terra's seal on it, stands to the right. Helion and two custodies stand at the back, silent witnesses. The Doomslayer stands slightly apart, watching the moving lights. Varro taps the table. "The writ is complete," he says, "by decree of the High Lords, signed under his silent gaze. The being known as Doomslayer is a sanctioned extremist asset of the Ordo Malleus." He speaks the rest as if reading from a script, but his eyes stay on the Slayer. "You will be deployed only against threats where the warp is active in strength," Varro says. "Demon worlds, major cult uprisings, sorcerer covens, Black Crusade spearheads, not rebellions, not border skirmishes." He raises a finger. "You will operate under inquisitorial command," he continues. "In practice, that means me, or someone I name, or a Lord Inquisitor with equal seal. You may advise, you may argue, But you do not pick your wars alone. He nods toward Alaric. You will fight with escorts, Varro says. Astartes kill teams, like the Black Templars, sometimes Grey Knights, sometimes Sisters of Battle, sometimes all of them at once. They are both your shield and your leash. Cord folds her arms. You will not be used as crowd control, she says. If there is a riot, a protest, a tax rebellion, others will handle it. You go where the sky bleeds and things crawl out. She looks at him hard. If an Imperial commander tries to aim you at civilians for convenience, she says, you can refuse. That is written into the writ. If you disobey that writ and start killing innocents anyway. Her hand rests on her sidearm. The custodes have standing right to end you, she says. Helion inclines his head. The Emperor wants you aimed outward, not inward, he says. These terms are law. As long as you hold them, we will stand beside you. If you break them, we will erase you. The Doomslayer listens. He commits each point to the same deep place he keeps his vow. Kill demons. Protect the fragile ones. Obey when they aim him at the worst holes. He nods once. Fine, he says. Point me. Varro smiles thinly. We already have a test, he says. 3 fronts, 1 storm. Perfect for your new leash. He gestures. The hollow shifts. 3 images appear. A shrine world. Its great cathedral city wrapped in a warp storm. Demons claw at its walls while Sisters of Battle fire from the ramparts. A hive world on the edge of Segmentum Obscurus, its factories in revolt. Cult symbols blooming in its slums. A fortress moon in the Cadian Gate, under direct assault by a chaos fleet, led by a demon prince of Khorne. Path 1, Varro says, pointing at the shrine world. If it falls, a major relic is lost, and 1,000,000 faithful die. The warp storm there hurts navigation, but the demons are not yet fully in control. We could swing it. Path 2, he notes, tapping the hive. This is messy. Half the rebels are misguided workers. Half are cultists. If you go there, you will kill both. You cannot only hit demons without wading through the rest. There will be costs. He points at the fortress moon. Path 3, he says. Pure war. A Black Crusade push. If that moon falls, the road into the heart of the Imperium opens another inch. The foe is mostly Chaos Marines and demons. Clean targets. But the people on the shrine and hive will die without your weight. He looks at the Doomslayer. 3 types of victory, Varro says. 3 types of loss. We can send fleets and chapters to all 3, but you can only be at 1. Where do you go first? This is what Act 5 really means. Not a prophecy dream. A choice in a war room. The Doomslayer looks at the 3 worlds. He remembers the Emperor's vision. He remembers the plain of corpses. He asks only one thing. Where are there more of them? He says. He points at the misshapen icons showing warp density. Cord's fingers dance over runes. Highest demon concentration is here, she says, highlighting the shrine world. The storm is still rising. If it tips, it becomes a demon world. The Slayer nods. Then there, he says. Storm first, gate next, factory later. Varro studies him. That will doom many on the hive, Varro says. Even if we send ordinary forces, without you, more cultists will live long enough to do harm. Are you sure? The Slayer thinks of every time he ran down a hallway while someone screamed behind him. He knows he cannot be everywhere, but he can shut the biggest holes. Storm first, reads. This is his blood price logic. Stop the worst breach, then the next, then clean up. Varro accepts it. Very well, he says. Admiral Cord, redirect our fastest vessels to the Shrine World. Sergeant Alaric, assemble a joint kill team. Custodian Helion, will the palace spare any of your number? Helion considers. 1, he says. No more. We are few, but one of us will ride with your beast and make sure he remembers his rules. He gestures to one of the custodes behind him. Valen, Helion says. You go. Valen steps forward. His armor shines like a moving sun. His eyes are calm and implacable. He looks at the Doom Slayer without fear. We will see if your hate can obey, Valen says. The Slayer tilts his head. We will see if your rules can keep up, he answers. There is no anger in it, just a fact. The shrine world of Semeridia looks like a jewel dropped into fire. Its surface is covered in cathedral cities and pilgrim roads. Now, much of it burns. The warp storm around it curls like a violet hurricane. Lightning made of screaming faces lashes at the void, shields of loyal ships. Into this mess plunges a strike flotilla. At its core, a Black Templar strike cruiser, an inquisitorial black ship rewired for war, and a Custis gunship that looks like a spear of gold. In their holds, a new kind of warband waits. Black Templars in their black and bone armor, grey knights, silver-armored demon hunters with scripture etched into their plates. A squad of Sisters of Battle, white armor scorched, but eyes fierce. A single custodes, Valen, stands among them like a living standard. In their midst stands the Doom Slayer. His armor is the same shape, but the new lines of gold in his suit glow brighter as they approach the storm. He feels the warp's pressure. He also feels the pull of the Astronomicon now, a hard, steady light behind every surge. The brand burns. He grunts once. Valen watches him. This is how it will be, the custode says. Every time you unleash too much, it will hurt you. It will hurt him. Use that pain as a guide. When it becomes too easy, you will know something is wrong. The Doomslayer says nothing. He rolls his shoulders. He has carried heavier things. The gunships launch. Thunderhawks and storm ravens blast through the storm, shields flaring. Lightning claws at them, but the Emperor's light in the Slayer's brand pushes back, carving a narrow path. They punch through the cloud layer. The side below is the purest 40K icon. A city-sized cathedral stands at the center of a crater of burning stone. Flying buttresses and stained glass rise up like prayers. Around it, an ocean of demons crashes like waves. Bloodletters and horrors and plague-bearers all mixed, clawing at the walls. Above them, winged furies dive and scream. On the walls, Sisters of Battle fire bolters and melter guns until their arms shake. Statues of saints shatter as shots hit. Choirs sing over the vox. Voices roar. The Doomslayer feels the mark blaze. This is what he is for. Drop ramps slam down. He hits the ground running. The landing zone is just outside the outer wall. Demons turn, smelling new prey. He does not give them time. He charges straight into the thickest knot of them. A bloodletter swings its hell blade. He catches its arm and tears it off, using it as a club to smash a cluster of screeching horrors. Argent lines flare as he grabs a plague-bearer by the tongue and yanks its head clean off. Behind him, the kill team fans out. Grey Knights chant their names and those of their Primarch and the Emperor as they charge. Nemesis force swords crackling with psychic might. Every swing burns demons twice, body and essence. Black Templars form a wedge, bolters roaring, chainswords cutting. Sisters advance in a line singing litanies as their flamers turn lesser fiends to ash. Valen moves like a golden storm. His guardian spear spins, cutting 3 demons in one sweep. His bolt fire is precise, each shot taking an eye, a heart, a warp node. The Doom Slayer, for the first time, is not the only unnatural super soldier on the field. He does not mind. He just picks the biggest things. A soul grinder, half daemon, half clanking machine throne, lumbers toward the walls, cannon belching warp shot. He sprints under its first blast, shoulder tackles one insectile leg, and rips the joint apart. The machine beast crashes down, shrieking. He climbs it like a hill. He rams his fist into its engine core, argent and golden light pouring from his gauntlet, and tears the heart out in one motion. The soul grinder detonates, showering the area with burning shards. He staggers as the blast washes over him. His mark sears inside. That much power through the chain hurts. He sinks to one knee for a breath. Valen appears beside him, spear whirling to carve a path. "On your feet," the custode says calmly. "You bend, you do not break." The Doomslayer rises. They reach the base of the cathedral walls. A huge gate looms above, battered but unbroken. From the top, a canoness of the sisters leans out, white hair plastered to her sweaty forehead. Her eyes widen as she sees the mix of forces below. "In the Emperor's name, who are you?" she calls. Valen looks up. "Your reinforcements," he answers. "Open your gate, canoness. The throne has sent a beast." Her gaze falls to the Doomslayer. For a second she looks unsure. Then she sees the small burning Aquila on his chest. She nods once. "Walls open," she shouts. "Make way." Massive doors grind aside. The kill team pushes into the plaza before the cathedral. For a brief moment, they stand in a pocket of calm. Sisters reload and tend to the wounded. Priests hurry with censers, waving smoke over the Doomslayer's armor, muttering blessings half in awe, half in fear. The canoness approaches. She is scarred and tired, but her back is straight. "We were told we were alone," she says to Valen. "No help, no reserves." "The Emperor changed his mind," Valen says. "Or perhaps he always knew." She turns to the Slayer. "I have lost 3 outlying cities," she says. "I have one relic left that matters. Under this altar lies the heart of Saint Meridia. The demons can smell it. They are trying to break in from below now, burrowing up. My sisters hold the catacombs, but they are failing." She points down. "Go there," she says to him. "Hold that heart. As long as it beats, this world is still his. If it is taken, this becomes theirs." This is his mission. Not to lead, to be a plug in the worst hole. He nods. He heads down into the catacombs. Grey Knights go with him, their psychic ward strong. A few Black Templars, including Alaric, insist on joining. Valen follows, his spear at the ready. The catacombs are a maze of bones and candles. Long rows of skulls stare from niches. Incense smoke hangs thick. At the far end, the tunnel walls are wrong. They bulge. They pulse. Demons have chewed through reality, making flesh tunnels from the warp. Sisters stand in a rough line before the final vault door, firing until their barrels glow. Behind that door, the relic rests, whatever it really is. As the Doomslayer arrives, the last sister in the line falls back, armor shattered, blood on her lips. "I can hold no more," she whispers to her canoness, who has followed them. "Forgive me." The canoness touches her helm. "You held," she says. "That is enough." She looks at the Slayer. "Now it is your turn," she says. He steps into the front line. The flesh tunnel vomits demons, small ones first, then bigger, then shapes he has never seen, all claws and tongues and eyes. He plants his boots. He remembers the rules. He cannot draw endlessly on the chain. He must choose where to burn, so he makes a simple plan. Use guns and flesh until they fail. Use argent only when the walls shake. He fires until his guns click dry. He breaks lesser demons with his bare hands. He uses the bones of the dead as clubs when he has to, whispering an apology in his mind to whoever they were. When a big beast pushes through, a hulking thing made of teeth and chains, he lets more power through the mark. Golden argent light surges down his arms. He meets it with a punch that breaks its entire front in one blow. The backlash feels like a blade in his chest. He almost blacks out. Valen's hand slams into his back, steadying him. "Hold," the custode says through gritted teeth. Even he feels the psychic kick. "We are almost through." He fights on. Hours blur. At last, the flesh tunnel shudders. The warp pressure withdraws. Some other battle in orbit, some other prayer in the palace, some other move in this huge war has cut the flow, for now. The tunnel walls begin to rot and slough away, leaving bare stone. Silence falls in the catacombs except for heavy breathing. The canoness steps forward. She places one hand on the vault door and one on the Doomslayer's shoulder. "St. Meridia's heart still beats," she says. "You did your work." Her gloved hand tightens. "Remember this," she says softly. "You are not a saint. You are a knife. But sometimes knives are all the saints have." He looks at her. He understands. Above them, the storm starts to thin. The shrine world will live, not without scars, not without graves, but it will not fall into the warp today. The campaign on St. Meridia ends 3 weeks later. Demons withdraw. Cultists are purged. The warp storm becomes a scar, not a storm. The Doomslayer stands on a balcony of the cathedral city, watching the evacuation ships take off with wounded pilgrims. Varro's Vox rune pings his helmet. "Storm 1 sealed," Varro says. "The fortress moon is holding. We sent other forces there. The hive world is as ugly as expected. We will be years cleaning that mess." He sounds tired. "Your choice and your leash both worked," Varro says. "We stopped a demon world. We lost too many workers to cults. That is the kind of math we live with." The Slayer grunts. He knows. Valen joins him on the balcony. "You did not break the rules," the custode says. "You burned bright when needed, not always. You listened when told where to go. You never struck at a mortal who did not strike first or wear the mark of the warp." He pauses. "For a beast," Valen says, "you did well." The Doomslayer looks at him. "For a guard," he says, "you didn't get in my way." Valen actually smiles, just a little. "We will make a warrior of you yet," he says. Behind them, Alaric leans on a column, watching the ships. "This is only the first," the Templar says. "There will be more storms, more Malachors, more mirror beasts." The Doomslayer nods. "I know," he says. Varro's voice returns, quieter. "The Emperor did not choose the path of sending you home," the Inquisitor says. "You know that now. There will be no portal back, not unless something breaks everything." The Doomslayer watches a transport rise, full of children who will live. "I know," he repeats. He is not sad. He does not think about what he lost. He thinks about the next breach. Years pass. He becomes a story. On demon worlds, cultists whisper about the Emperor's beast, a green armored monster with a burning eagle on his chest who cannot be bargained with. In the Eye of Terror, a council of demon princes gathers. Kargor the Red, his brass armor still scarred from a fight he never understood, growls. "This thing must be unmade," he snarls. "He tore Malachor out of his sanctum. He tore my champions apart in boarding fights. He is small, but he bites deep." A bloated Nurgle prince laughs wetly. "Let him rage," it gurgles. "Every burn leaves a scar. Every use of that chain hurts the shining corpse. In time, he will be a spent match." a sly Tzeentchian demon taps its beak-like helm. Or in time, one of us will find a way to slip around that golden knot, it says. River finds cracks in stone. Rage finds cracks in vows. They all agree on one thing. The Doomslayer is now on their board. They will plan for him. In another shadowed chamber, far from war fronts, a Lord Inquisitor reads reports. A thick book lies open. Sanctioned extremist asset, Doomslayer, the heading says. Pages list his deployments: Armageddon, Saint Meridia, the Cadian Gate, a nameless demon moon, losses, saves, incidents where he almost burned too hot and had to be pulled back. The Lord Inquisitor sighs. I do not like that we need this thing, she says. Varro, older now, stands before her desk. Neither do I, my lord, he says. But we needed Thunder Warriors once. We needed the legions. We need many things we do not like. She closes the book. Can we kill him if we must? She asks. Varro thinks of the brand, of the Astronomicon, of Custodes' spears and Grey Knight's blades. If we must, he says. It will cost. But yes. She nods. Then keep him on the sharpest fronts, she says. And keep his story small where you can. The last thing I want is half the galaxy praying to him as a new saint. Varro smiles sadly. That ship may have sailed, he says. On Armageddon, in Hive Hell's Reach, Jarek's daughter is older now. Her name is Mira. She walks through a rebuilt plaza where Sector 12 once burned. On the far wall of a hab tower, a huge mural glows in the low light. It shows a figure in green armor standing before a cracked sky. On his chest, a small golden aquila burns. Around his feet, little human figures huddle. Above him, a stylized warp crack shows demons pulling back. Children play in front of the mural with toy guns and sticks, shouting stories. Then the Doomslayer came, one boy cries. He smashed the big demon and told the Marines where to shoot. No, another says. He doesn't talk. He talks a little, Mira says, as she passes. Just not much. They look at her. How do you know? One asks. She touches a thin scar on her arm, just under her sleeve. I was there when he fell from the sky, she says. He didn't say anything to me, but he stood between us and the monsters. That was a kind of word. The kids fall quiet. One of them, a little girl clutching a cheap metal charm, looks up at the mural. Her charm is a simple iron cross with a tiny etched aquila. You think he'll come back if more demons come? She asks. Mira looks at the sky. She has learned enough from newsvox and whispers to know he is somewhere out there, in bigger wars than hers. Maybe, she says. Maybe he's busy killing their bosses. The girl nods, satisfied. She holds her charm tighter. In the Underhive, some people pray to saints. Some to the Emperor. Some, quietly, to the nameless green warrior who smashed a god's servant with his bare hands. The church above does not encourage that, but they do not crush it either. Sometimes faith needs a shape it can see. On a nameless rock at the edge of a small warp tear, the Doomslayer stands alone for a moment. The battle here is done. Grey Knights have finished their work and teleported out. The Inquisitorial gunship has gone to ferry wounded. For once, he has a minute with no target. He looks up. He cannot see the Astronomicon with his eyes. He feels it, a steady weight on the chain in his soul. It does not pull him now. It just rests. He thinks briefly about Earth, about a rabbit, about a lab full of bright screens. He wonders if his old hell stayed quiet without him. He will never know. He lets the thought go. He grips his shotgun. There will be another call, another breach, another sorcerer who thinks chains are clever. Until they stop, he will not. He turns as a thunderhawk swoops in to pick him up. Varlin stands at the ramp, spear resting on his shoulder. Another day's work, the custode says. The Doomslayer steps aboard. Until they stop, he replies. The ramp closes. The gunship rises toward the stars and the wars waiting there. Codex note. By sealed decree of terror, the entity designated Doomslayer is a sanctioned extremis asset of the Ordo Malleus, bound by psychic tether to the Astronomicon, authorized for deployment only against high-level demonic threats under inquisitorial and custodes oversight. His continued existence tolerated so long as his rage serves the Emperor's war and not the Warp's will.